regardless of wherever you come from, there is one country that is unique and uncomparable with any country. Is the smiling coast of Africa, and that's our country. This is a country where, yes, we might be small, but there are a lot of things, whether you are looking for wedding, whether you are looking for MICE activities, whether you are looking for honeymooners, so you name it, the Gambia has it all. And this is where the Roots Festival is held. And of course, this is where Kunta Kinte came from. And nobody can take that from us. And yes, when we say the smiling coast, it is real. The moment you land at the airport, you know that our level of hospitality can be compromised within the country, regardless of how big you are. So we are special. Gambia Tourism Board liggéeyam mooy pour wane Gambia lan lañ am pour gan yi mën a ñëw fii seet si suñu réew. dëkk bu nekk am na cosaan, dëkk bu nekk am na aada, ñun suñu cosaan ak suñu aada amul fenn. moo tax suñ génnee ñun suñu warugar mooy pour wan àddina bi yëpp ne Gambia mooy dëkk bi nga xam ne boo fa demee fekk fa jàmm am fa sa teraanga te kenn du la fitnaal. ñun loolu mooy suñu liggéey. waaye ñun suñu liggéey du mën a sotti mukk fekk Gambien si yëpp jàpp ñu xam ne tourisme moo ñoo dimbale suñu bëggee jëm kanam. loolu moom lu am solo la pour Gambien bu nekk mu xam ko mooy ne tourisme dafa soxaliku réew. dëgg la léeg-léeg dañuy wax ne tourisme am na ci ñaaw ak yooyu waaye loolu ñun ñi nga xam ne ñun ñooy Gambien ñoo mën a génne lu ñaaw def ko mu rafet. so ñun Gambien lañu am so dañoo continuer pour wane àddina bi yëpp ne amul benn dëkk bu gën Gambia lépp loo war a am ci biti rek moom fii. When we sell Gambia, we don't sell Gambia in isolation. We sell Gambia in totality. And of course, one of the unique selling propositions of this country is our hospitality. And another thing that is very important is we have this strong, a rich cultural diversity in this country. You go to all the 5 regions in this country, we have cultures that you cannot see anywhere in the world. And of course, another thing that we sell when we go out there is the navigable river Gambia. And I always tell people that we got the best river in the world. But it's still on top, and I think the government is working tirelessly to make sure that we got investors who will contribute immensely in terms of taking advantage of the navigable river we have. People always talk about sun, sun, and sea. Everybody got that. For us, we have something that countries don't have, and I mentioned about the issue of our culture, the issue of our rich heritage. Sometimes when I hear people talking about Roots trying to sell Kunta Kinte, it is ours. And that is something that even when we go anywhere, they say Gambia, yes, Kunta Kinte. So that's a flag bearer for us in tourism. During the political impasse, it was very clear that most of our source market have to repatriate their citizens to their country, and that wiped out the entire tourism industry in this country during that time. But of course, it was short-lived because the government proactively reacted on a diplomatic level where they had to come back. But it still affected our arrivals. Unfortunately, before the impasse, there was Ebola. We bounced back, and Ebola went. The impasse, we go down again. 17, 18, 19, and it's only in this government that the arrival of Destination Gambia surpassed 200,000. Before it used to be 150, 170. But if I should take 2019 as a baseline, our arrival was 235,000. So, with the new dispensation, we were progressing drastically. And I can tell you that as per the NDP, I think it's only tourism that has recovered 100% as per our target. So that tells you that we were really going very far. Unfortunately, this is actually beyond us. The COVID has really wiped out the entire stuff that we have. We were actually projecting, compared to 2019, at least we were expected to have almost 300,000 arrivals if all things was equal. But because of the COVID, Thomas Cook, not even Thomas Cook, but TUI Holland were actually bringing 4 flights. TUI UK was also planning to bring 3 flights a week. And the reason why I'm mentioning TUI UK is because I'm sure you're aware of the collapse of Thomas Cook. So TUI UK actually we are replacing them, and of course TUI being the biggest tour operator in the world, we were even pushing for more than 2 flights, and of course the likes of Brussels Airlines, even as far as Poland, there was a confirmation of bringing 2 flights from Poland, but everything has been dashed out, and one of the major challenges we have is funding. And I think you know very well that marketing destination is not cheap, because you have to do a lot of online and offline campaign, and of course some missions would be overseas, and of course you have to attend some trade fairs which are very expensive. And I think if my memory serves me right, I think since 2015 that was the last time we had support from the World Bank, and since then GT Board has been taking care of its mandate in terms of marketing the Gambia, and it's definitely expensive. And I can give you reference in terms of Senegal and Ghana. Senegal got about more than $50 million. Ghana got about $60-something million, and it's all geared towards marketing. And Gambia is having zero. But the good thing is the government and of course our ministry is working tirelessly with us to make sure we knock the doors of the donors. Because if you look at our budget, if I should give you a rough estimate, 60% of the projected revenue of the GT board is given to marketing. And I can tell you, minimum we'll spend in a year would be around $100 million. So that tells you that we really spending almost the chunk of the revenue that we're receiving from the resource that we have. And without funding, we will still be struggling. And especially at this material time where COVID is actually hitting us, we definitely need the funding. And if the funds are available, implementation is done, because we have the capacity to do that. The thing that we always sell is about the investment opportunities in this country. For example, if you want to build 4 or 5-star hotel along the coast, you can have up to 5 years of tax holiday. If you want to build through the hinterland, you can have up to 10 years tax holiday. So all these are opportunities, and it is very clear. And one thing that I always talk about is, or we always talk about as tourism stakeholders, is our security. You go to other countries, you don't dare walk at night without being harassed or being disturbed. And I think it's only in this country that we have, I might be wrong, but I think in all the sub-regional countries I've been to, it's only Gambia where you have this tourism security unit specifically assigned to safeguard the safety of our tourists. Like I always say, we might be small in population, but we are big boys when it comes to tourism. We are well respected. You see, GT Board is just, our job is to implement. When it comes to strategic directions, of course, is the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, and you have 3 satellite institutions under the Ministry of Tourism and Culture. GT Board is one. You have National Center for Arts and Culture, and you have Gambia Tourism and Hospitality Institute. But the records are very clear. If you go back to the records of our success story in terms of arrivals, it's not only the GT Board, but the tourism stakeholders have actually contributed, because it wouldn't be fair. Yes, we are mandated to market the Gambia, but success stories of tourism is not only on GT Board, it's all the stakeholders, including every Gambian. But we have really achieved our target. Since the time the approval was given on the NDP, we have been seeing arrivals and all the other targets been met in all the 3 satellite institutions. But here we are now covered. So I'm afraid we'll go back to the drawing board, but I'm still optimistic that come 2021 we will see a different ball game. Any country that is not democratic, the environment is never conducive. And we have seen, books where investors will go very far. The only thing that they need to do is to start their project and they pull out because the confidence wasn't there. I think they were never saw of what will happen next. But with the new dispensation, we have seen that confidence have come back. Investors are really knocking on our doors almost every day. So that actually played a part. And of course, the diasporans, because most of them were not willing to come during the last government. But for now, everybody is excited to come back home. That actually played a part. But also, it's actually we reposition ourselves. As a tourism board and as a tourism industry, we have seen the importance of tourism, particularly if you look at the NDP, the government, I think for the first time has given tourism as a very strategic pillar within the development goal of the government. And that has given us leverage to actually push, very, very high in terms of getting the numbers. And anything that we have to do is to make sure the image of the country, of what we talked out there about people to come. When they come to this country, they need to see it happen. But what is sad is when you go out there, you promote your country, you come, and you realize that what we selling is not what is happening on the ground. That is totally compromising what we have. And we need to be mindful here. The beach is one of our selling proposition, and I think we need to safeguard that. I think we're working with the institutions or the ministry that are responsible for mining, and I think this is where we need to be cautious. Because yes, you can allow mining because of course people have to build, but not at the detriment of our tourism development. Because you have to look at now, for me I always tell people, we always talk about agriculture, but tourism is the driver for the country, and even for many countries now, in terms of foreign exchange and everything. So yes, it's a concern, and I think the moment mining is done along the beach, it will actually create erosion. And when that happens, our seafront is being compromised, and I think we need to be very cautious with that. If you go to Senegambia beach area, or even Keraba, you can see our beach is really, really been compromised, and we should never allow any of the unique selling proposition we have for the Gambia to be wiped out because of certain kind of developments happening in other sectors. But let us be cautious what we do in terms of negative impact that will bring to one of the main drivers of our economy, which is tourism. We have TDA 1 up to 10. The reason why that was created by the government was to actually have clusters of areas where tourism development is centralized to that area. But of course, we have seen that TDA 1 is almost saturated now. Lots of development, many of the hotels that we boast about is within the TDA 1. We are not against sand mining. I think that's very clear. What we don't appreciate is tampering with the things that tourists will come and enjoy. And trust me, if you go along the coast, you will see it yourself. There are areas, and I give example. There are some areas like Bigelow, and even some areas like when you go very close to Batukunko, you can see it yourself. And this is where I'm saying that we need to be cautious of what we do to compromise what we're selling out there. Because at the end of the day, yes, we can mine the entire TDA stretch, but mind you, it compels us to stop selling the Gambia as an area or a country where people have fantastic beaches. As far as any operation is done and it's not compromising what we sell to the outside world, it's definitely welcoming. What we don't appreciate is to do anything that will compromise what we sell. Our beaches is exceptionally great, and because of it is exceptionally great, we should safeguard that. So we are now working as a board and with the ministry to make sure we will demarcate the other TDAs. So because this is the only way we can encourage people to go to the hinterland. But of course, the TDA is actually 800 meters from the watermark. Is classified as a TDA area. So any encouragement within the 800 meters from the watermark is classified illegal. No government would allow activities that are going to compromise with the nature asset that you have as a country for just people that who want to build their homes and their eco camps. No. We have actually sat back as a country and as a board to refocus what to do next. And I think the focus is now the regional and the domestic market. Because in most countries that we have seen, and I can name the likes of Kenya, they bounce back of the COVID because of the domestic tourism that they have. We have been lagging far behind, but I think with the position that we have taken as a board, and of course with the support of the minister and the government, we have now seen the importance of domestic and the sub-regional market. And that's why last week I was out of the country. I was in Nigeria to actually test the waters of what can we do to actually intensify our presence in Nigeria. And it was a success story. It has two dimensions. When you talk about domestic work in parallel with the sub-region. But domestic, really, if you want to intensify that, Gambians need to appreciate what they have. Because if you go to the likes of Senegal, despite the fact there is COVID, but there is a lot of movement within their country. And that's what we're trying to promote. Gambians, there are so many Gambians, if you ask them where Passe is, the answer is they don't even know. Many Gambians don't even know where Apkas is. Many Gambians don't know where Jufure is. So this is now the strategy we have taken. That's why the ministry and the GT board have assigned 5 managers in the 5 regions to take care of every region, because we have seen over the years, we only concentrate on the West, neglecting what we have, but the dimension have changed. And that's why we are promoting domestic tourism. But of course, domestic tourism would also have something to do with sub-region. For example, if I take the likes of Colonel Vacans in Senegal, you can see when they close their schools, they rush to the Gambia. They also support the establishment we have in this country. But the reason why we're talking about domestic is we want Gambians to explore what Gambia has to offer that the West or other countries or citizens of other countries are coming to explore. And that's why the GT board and the ministry have started building 5 eco camps in all the regions, which minimum is 4 or 5 star. So that at least when Gambians want to go with their family, they'll have somewhere to go. And it is very clear that most of the establishments we have up country, we are not up to standard. And that is going to change, because the position is very clear. You either up to your standard or we close you down. When you go to the beach now, especially during the summer months, if it was not COVID right now, when you go to the beach, you as a Gambian, you might even find it difficult to have a sunbath or even relax, because that is something that they embrace. And you can be there, relaxing. At the back that you relax, music is on, food is served. So this is like a paradise that you enjoy while you come to this country. So it is an asset. And like I said, the sand is one of our unique selling proposition that tourists love so much, especially when it is like sunbathing. You can also see that most of the tourists, when they come, they do some sports activities along the beach. So those are things that they love, and it is very important, and we should safeguard that.
The Gambia National Petroleum Corporation is the country's national oil company. For the past 17 years, GNPC has continued to deliver excellent services to all Gambians, from individuals to corporate clients. At GNPC, you are guaranteed the best quality fuel in the Gambia. Visit our stations and stop by our auto spare parts store, where you can find petroleum and lubricant products, wiper blades, and many more. All these provided without delay. With 10 service stations located throughout the country and still counting, GNPC gives you the best customer service anywhere, anytime. Think fuel, think GNPC Gambia. It is now time to take ownership of what we own. GNPC, Nyokomom, the Gambia, our homeland.
And of course, we have also seen the lockdown coming from France. We have seen the lockdown coming from Germany. We have seen the lockdown coming from Italy. So our main source market have already been compromised. If it was not that, I can tell you, we can be within 100,000. But of course, that is dash out. We are optimistic about 2021. The reason why I'm saying that is because one, we have the vaccine, and of course, the moment the vaccine is out, confidence starts building up. They would love to come to the Gambia. And I can tell you right now, as we speak, so many Westerners, if they have their way, they would have flown to our country and get away from the -4, -1 degree Celsius that they're experiencing now in their weather. So, yeah, but I wouldn't be fair to you if I tell you. Currently, we have Royal Air Maroc flying daily flight. According to my discussion with their manager, is after the New Year's they'll start flying 5 times. Bosses Airline is flying 3. So we still have some packet, and our trip to Nigeria, they have confirmed, Airpeace have confirmed that they will start flying direct flight from Nigeria to Banjul 3 times, direct, because currently it's only Air Sky that is flying, and the route is very long because you have to go Banjul, Freetown, Accra, Lomi, so we don't want that. So we want to have a direct flight, and Airpeace, we will actually come to our answers very soon. Parce que toujours nit ñu bari dañoo foog ne tourisme pour gan yi la tourisme su ñun la war a njëkkee ñun dañ war di génn dem ci restaurant yi dem ci night club yi parce que Gambie na ko moom dem ci beach bi am suñu pique-nique parce que suñ dëkk la dañ war di jël suñ njaboot gi dama ñoom ba ay Passé Farafenni dem ba ay Jufore dem seeti Hipposi on ça dem ba Denton Bridge demal sa famille dugg ci biir gaal dem wëraalu dem ba ay bor Lamine Lodj bari na écologie si bari nañ yooyu yëpp ñun ñoo ko war a mën a commencé soo gisee Covid bi boo ko seetloo daf ñu jàngal lu bari li nga moom bu ci des gannaaw dañ war a gis loo xam ne ñun mbir bi ñoo ci war a jiitu bu ci jiitu rek bu nekk ci biti bu ñëwee xam ne ñun jiitu ñeenti waaye war a ñoo des gannaaw place yi ñu war a dem bari na te loolu man li ma ñaax nit ñi mooy nañ fexe ñu génn loolu rek moo mën a tax dëkk bi jëm kanam place yi mu war a dem bari na trop xale yi fi mu war a dem bari na dëgg la nguur gi xam nañ ne ak tourisme boo xam nañ ñu ngi war a def lu bari moo tax ñu ngi bil ay éco camps yoo xam ne suñu paree njaboot gu bari mën nañu fee dem fiixlu si weekend dellusiwaat loolu moo am na solo trop. ñun ñëpp ñoo bokk réew mi ñëpp a ko bokk su baaxee ñëpp la baaxal waaye gan yi foog ñu teral leen wala ne ñoom waa fii lañ même suñ fi dëkkul sax su ko defee buñ dellee mun a dellusiwaat loolu rek moo ñu mun a dimbali lu ko mooy bu ñëwee fii ñu di stop leen di leen saaga parce que li nga wax dëgg la ñun am nañ report yoo xam ne dañ amoon touriste yu dem ba Tànji pour netaal mu am ñu leen di jàmm xam nga dafa ñaaw ba yooyu after ñun dañ am pour involve police yi loolu warul ñoom suñ ñëwee netaalu dañ netaalu rek waxuñ ne pour ñu netaalu loo xam ne dafa ñaaw loolu moom fu ñu ko gis am nañ réalité report ko parce que dëgg la nu réew amee ñu baax ak ñu bon tubaab bi tam ay ñu ñëw fi tam am na ñu baax ak ñu bon Gambien bu nekk dafa war a am warugar boo gisee loo xam ne lu bon la wala Gambien na ko def wala ko fi dëkkul nañ ko report su fekkee tourisme la ñun dinañ jël action parce que suñu dëkk lañ am kenn duñu ko yaaxal. That tourism is one part that every country is fighting for, and Gambia cannot be left behind. We have to fight with the big boys. Yes, we might be less than 3 million people in this country, but the contribution of tourism in our economy is very high. So that is why we should never relent on compromising whatever we have in this country.
My name is Ibrahima Ansutamba Jame, the chief of Upper Badibu presently. I live here in Iliasa. I am the chief today, and I inherited it from my own uncle, who is Alaji Fode Sar Jame, who is the son of the late Mama Tamba Jame. And before him was Keba Tamba Jame, who was also a chief after his father. So that's how it came down to me. there was a break in between. am na ñeneen ñu ko jiite tamit ñu mel ni marong yi ku mel ni Sankalang Marong ak jaadama yi ñoom ñëpp amoon nañ time boo xam ne nekk nañ fi njiiti réew mi waaye ñun jàmme yi toog nañ fi lu mu juróom-ñeenti fukki at ak juróom-ñeneenta boo xam ne dogut ci diggante bi nag booba ak tey am nañ yeneen ñaari nit ñoo xam ne yore woon nañ le réew mi keneen ki mooy Matar Gueye ngeen Sanjaal keneen ki mooy Sambujang Jaañ Farafeñe ñii ñëpp am nañ seen time boo xam ne nekk nañ fi njiit waaye bu dul ñaar ñooñu boo ko connecté fi mu nekk nii ñun def nañ fi lu ëpp téeméeri at yore réew mi njiit yooyu nag def nañ fi ay jaloore de ku mel ni Mama Tamba bi mu nekkee fii réewam bi dina dee teel a defar yoon yi at bu nekk def dee maintenance yoonam yi fi nga xam ne ay place yi ndox la nit ñi mënuñoo jàll mu def fa ay bridge sant yàlla booba Balengo fa la nit ñi daan jaayee gerte liñ daan béyee fii fa la daan jaare ñi daan business tamit commerçant yu mag yi seen bagage yi foofu la dee jaaree ñëw waaye bi mu doonee chief moom moo tax yoon bi nekkee diggante Kër Ayib ak Misira moom moo génnee yoon boobu dem jaara booba Bamba Tenda Yeli Tenda amutoon waaye time am la ñooñu am léegi fa la Sénégambia bi brique bi nekk kon ñoom itam defoon nañ fi lu bari yoo xam ne benn tey nit ñaa ngi koo wax bokk na ci mbiram yi booba lekk dafa jafe woon dunda dafa jafe waaye def na fi ay programmes yoo xam ne sant yàlla ñun suñu réew mi xiif géttan ñu parce que dañ dee béy maalo bu doy béy lekk bu doy sant yàlla loolu amoon na fi. During the colonial times, things were very difficult. The colonial masters were here, but they did very little for us. Most of their developments were centralized in the Greater Banjul area. That is between the airport and the capital city, Banjul. And still, those are the places that you can see very visible developments. Other than that, here we have to fend for ourselves. But it wasn't easy. The funds were not there, the materials were not there. So all these bridges that were built were from our own hard labor. Very, very, very difficult. You find difficulty in transporting goods from one point to the other. When the lorries start coming, tractors and lorries, it was like a dream come true. But then it was still very difficult for them to ply the roads. From here to Banjul, vehicles will take 2 days to go. And it's even very rare to find them. So infrastructural development was zero. Road networks were very bad. Most of the people will trek from here to Banjul and 3-4 days walk to Banjul. There are certain areas where you dare not cross. So if you get to those places at 6 o'clock, you spend the night until the next day. So it was very, very, very difficult to communicate within villages here. Some use horses, some use donkeys, and when bicycles came, it was a bit easier, but the difficulties were very visible. Telephones we were not talking about. When gradually things start to improve. For us here, when you want to talk to somebody in Combo, you will have to book it. And you go to Mansakonko, that's the only place where you can have a phone call. And from here to Mansakonko, my brother, it was terrible. There were no ferries. You use a canoe to cross the river. And when things started to change at Bambatenda, that there was a ferry, it is still a nightmare to go across. So those were no easy times for us. When the First Republic came, Gambians start to do things on their own, and we start to have gravel roads. But then people see things differently. And that's the beauty about democracy. You have the right to be where you want to be. You have the right to support who you want to support. And that's the time that the Gambians start to push and pull because of different ideologies. But that one also had its toll on us. There are some very good things that came out of it. Like we have our independence, we have our republic, and we choose our own president. But it also brings infight amongst us as to who will be the head of state, who will rule, who will get which position. All these things came into play. And then it starts to conflict with development. During the Second Republic, Bambatenda, Yelitenda, and this Senegambia corridor was already established. The Second Republic found that the way it is. There are some improvements as to the new ferries and things like that. But then it was never enough. You go to the ferry and you find that transporters with goods and people are stuck on one side of this river for almost 24 hours. Some would even go up to 48 hours before you can cross the ferry. And around those areas is mangrove swamps. There are no hotels to sleep in, so you must sleep in your car. And you find a queue 3 kilometers long of vehicles who are trying to cross to the other side, either with perishable goods or with animals that will have to stay on board the vehicles all that long. Women and children, disabled, all have to stay there. And when nature calls, it's very difficult because there are no sanitary spots built on the road, and people will have to go into the swamps to ease themselves when nature calls. And all these have been very big constraints. And it happens on both sides of the bank. On both sides of the bank. That is along the corridor. And when you happen to pass the ordeal at the ferry terminal, then you get to the border post. You go to the Gambian border post, spend some time there regularizing your papers. From there you cross to the Senegalese side and you live the same nightmare. So these are constraints that are constantly on taking its toll on people continuously. And with that kind of a situation, trade slows down. The movement of people and goods slows down, and it's very frustrating. That brings us to the Third Republic. And today we are here. We've seen the bridge. The bridge is constructed, and it's like when it is open, it's a call on everybody. The sub-region, everybody is crossing. Vehicles are plying day and night. So it's like you are sleeping and then somebody wakes you up. That's how I can describe it. Because the ordeal that we face in the swamps now is gone, it's history.
Nal hakilo bakang.
President ne su ngeen fàttale ko.
Kabri nata birijo yele jang.
ba ma ñëwee ubbi bridge bi.
Nga mo bele nati jang Gambia bele benta jang.
Gambia yëpp dara ñoo fi daje woon.
Nga birijo yele.
ñu ubbi bridge bi.
Bari kabri nga yele.
waaye bañ ko ubbee.
Ngoy ko do ko ñinde amambang.
ma ne leen liggéey bi ci ne jeexul de.
Fo nga ñi silo do.
liggéey bi foog ñu liggéey yoon bi.
Nga fo lummeng.
kera bañ ko waxee.
Mol ya mi la politique diamolo.
ñi dañ waxoon ne waxi politique la.
Bari bi.
waaye bés diki tey.
Nga mi la mobe sondale ka président Barrow nata pour do ko wala.
foog naa ne ñëpp nangu nañ ne président Barrow ñëw na pour liggéey.
Jan ni ba fo la next ya ñin time o.
su neexee yàlla balaa ñoo wax déwén jamono ji.
Ni muruta nan jang.
soo fi dellusee.
Ite jan suute la ko tay.
doo xamee waa fii.
The Gambia National Petroleum Corporation is the country's national oil company. For the past 17 years, GNPC has continued to deliver excellent services to all Gambians, from individuals to corporate clients. At GNPC, you are guaranteed the best quality fuel in the Gambia. Visit our stations and stop by our auto spare parts store, where you can find petroleum and lubricant products, wiper blades, and many more. All these provided without delay. With 10 service stations located throughout the country and still counting, GNPC gives you the best customer service anywhere, anytime. Think fuel, think GNPC Gambia. It is now time to take ownership of what we own. GNPC, Nyokomom, the Gambia, our homeland.
The president came here to lay the foundation stone of for the reconstruction of the corridor project, that is the road from Ker Ali to Misira, a 24-kilometer stretch.
silo mu silalati me yalon ka tele Africa be chok ñoba
comme Cheikh Ibrahima Tamba Jammeh nim ko waxee yoon wi am solo la ngir dafa lenkalante Africa yépp
ni aju be ñin silo ni bota jaay sita fo Lagos ni moto
yoon bi soo fi awee di nga dem ba Lagos ca Nigeria ak moto
so kaw silo doku ala yo bendi tele jamano
fi
fe
liggéeyaat yoon boobu yàlla yow la ko tombeel ci sa jamono
président Barrow bu ka bata do wala
mu ne président bi soona bu liggéey
ni silo
mu ne yoon wi
na do kuta
mu ne su paree
abe tine jamal nat la banko kan
dina indi njëriñ lu bari ci réew mi
abatin na ta kata ñoy abe sone
nga
yala
tax ne jokkoo bi dina gën a yomba
ni nga fengol fi ke sama marché wol sabe sone yala
li nga xam ne ni moo di mbéyteef gi business bi yëpp dina yaxantu bi dina gën a
kata banko dol do fana ya fu ñame abe sone yala
pour dem ci yeneen i réew yi nga xam ne ni ñoom lañ bokkal tunda bi dina gën a yomba
Adama Barrow président Republic of the Gambia moo ñëw ne dafa teg xeer ci yoon wi nga xam ne daf koo defaraat gën koo yaatal pour oto yi di mën a dem ak ñëw léegi oto yooyu pour ñu mën a dem ak ñëw diggante Gambia ak Sénégal ak li nga xam ne mooy ECOWAS protocole bi oto dëkk yeneen dëkk yi nga xam ne romb na Sénégal yëpp ci lañ bokk ci route nationale bi mu ne nag dafa ñëw pour yaatal ko defar ko ba nga xam ne oto yi dinañ mun di dem di dugg ak a génn duñ am benn problème so kon ñun warugal la ñun transport union ñu rafetlu loolu because dem ak ñëw gi ñun ñëpp suñ driver yi ci la ñoo dem so kon dafa mel ni yooyu yëpp su waree dox yoon wi dafa war a baax dafa war a yaatu pour gis ne accident yi du fi am ifi ñun driver yi tawat nañ ci ne nguur gi nañ def duudaan pour oto yi mun a daw ndànk because police yi mënuñoo nekk ci yëpp di aar oto yi pour daw yi ñoo daw pour di rey nit ñi so loolu yëpp waxtaan nañ ko fi ak waa nguur gi nga xam ne ñoo fi ñëwoon.
The work to be undertaken in phase 2 of this landmark project includes pavement strengthening of the 24 kilometers of the Trans-Gambia Highway. It consists of both pavement overlay and rehabilitation works from the border in the south at Misira, in the Lower River region, Ker Ali in the North Bank region. The objective of the project is to facilitate overland traffic flow between the northern and southern parts of the Gambia and Senegal, and by extension, to enhance free movement within the West African region as a whole.
And now President Adama Barrow has secured funds, not by the donors anywhere, but by his government to build that road.
The contract for this phase of the project was signed on the 15th September 2020 with Ariski SA at a contract fee of 9,751,973 euros for a contract period of 18 months. AIC, Progeti TSC, Engineering and Construction have been engaged as consultants at a contract sum of $1,082,000 US. Will supervise the works. We wish them good luck and successful delivery of the works as specified in their contracts.
The highway is a 24-kilometer length of 7.2 meter width for the carriageway, 1.24 meter of shoulder both sides, and 1.5 meter shoulder both sides on some section of the road.
So contractual me men silo de lala.
Mune contractor yi wara liggéey yoon bi.
Funding call me nyum banko kanne.
Ndaw ñaan ci tunda wi fi.
Especially not bank banko ka.
Watina tundi not bank.
Ni be molta la do kola.
Ñoo jël nit pour liggéey.
Isi da not bank funding call ta do kola.
Nañ jël ndaw fi nekk daan seen doole foofu.
Janni bi da wula ko ñu no balen lay su ko ñu no balundi.
Mané bala ngay dakk xiwel bu dem ci àll ba ak ñu ñëw jël.
O kamala
Loolu taxna
ni wala do ko soto.
ñooñu suñ fi amee liggéey.
Isi bani fañul demano.
Nañ dimbale seen waajur.
Isi fangul demano.
Dimbale seen bopp.
Isi ila family be demano.
Ñu dimbale seen njaboot.
O be yuruwal nat la banko ka.
Loolu dina indi yokkute bu rëy ci tunda bi.
Do not allow any person to obstruct their work or destroy what has been done already. This applies to all development projects within the country. Whatever the government does is an undertaking on your behalf and for your welfare, comfort, and progress. As such, take ownership of all government activities and help us to serve you better.
Now this road is part of one of the 5 components of the bridge. The bridge project has components up to 5. That is the bridge itself, the road network, and we have a market in the project. We have a toll road, and the next thing to come would be the one border post. Now, the toll is where you buy the ticket to go over the bridge. The bridge is fully functional nowadays.
My government is determined in responding to the development needs of the Gambian citizens and making sure that they derive maximum benefit and satisfaction from every public project and program implemented. We must continue to make sure that whenever we invest, we get value in return. The Senegambia Bridge is serving its purpose.
Pour support bridge bi
bari pour ka ñim bridge ñu fasa salo ñi ka fasa
sampane ñaari toll facilities
na ditira fula lo ñu ma fola ni o karadola
pour support bridge bi ak corridor bi
pour ka ñim bridge ma koy ani silo mi modbe tambila nala.
So the nightmare of coming to the border, go to the Gambian authorities, regularize your papers, and then you drive into Senegal and stop at the Senegalese border post. So now it's going to be a joint one. The border post will be constructed outside the village, and there will be access road to the villages. So wherever you come from, you just drive there. Stop your vehicle, go into Senegal if you are from Senegal, go to the Senegalese authorities, and then just walk into the other office. That is the Gambian. From there, you just jump into your car and then go to the toll.
am naa fi 30 years yoo xam ne maa ngi ci diggante Gambie ak Sénégal ci wàllu transport bi ba ECOWAS joxoon nañ ma kayit boo xam ne pour rataxal diggante bi rek pour jagal moom lañ ma ko joxee. te diggante Gambie ak Sénégal dañ gis ne dañ war di romba ci li ñuy wax transit du nekk laissez-passer du nekk licence transit la rek pour romba dem. boobu Gambie nangutoo nañ ko ak Sénégal Sénégal na amuñoo moom benn problème te itam mbokk yàgg ak xarit yàgg yàgg na yàgg goo xam ne 30 years yi ma wax nii maa ngi leen cee fàttalil ne poste gii su fekkee am nañ bàmmeel bu ñoo rob nit matagul ñetti at ci gannaaw Gambie la ku gaañoo Sénégal Gambie lañ laa rob seen bàmmeel yaa ngi nii soriwul dara kon mbokk gi dafa yàgg moo jiitu diggante Gambie ak Sénégal mbiri booda bi ñoo wax. kon loolu it nañ ko de mainten di ko bàyyi xel ci diggante ay nit ñi nga xam ne ñoo bokk.
ye marché wolu do kuñe fana men yaalon ko nana man si boko mbewol si faal sa
sampal ñu ay marché yoo xam ne ni mosu ñoo géntane dinañ ko am
man keta North Bank ti ani LRR
buy war a tundi nekk ci tundi Kerewaan ak tundi Mansako.
These markets were built purposely to help the vendors that were having their livelihood at the ferry terminals, plus our own people who were sitting in the streets selling their vegetables grown from their gardens. And that was a nightmare also, what they go through. And eventually they had to sit on the floor somewhere near the road to be selling those things. But these markets are going to facilitate that. At least it's going to be an improvement. We may not be able to satisfy everything on a particular day, one day, today, but then steps have been taken, I think, in the right direction. So the markets are done, and it is going to improve people's livelihood. And all these 5 components on this bridge project is conceived by His Excellency President Nana Barrow. So we are more than grateful for him.
It affords me the opportunity, therefore, to acknowledge the invaluable contribution of various agencies and individuals towards the realization of the project. Featuring prominently among them are the Ministries of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, Finance and Economic Affairs, Foreign Affairs and Gambians Abroad, the National Road Authority, the Gambia Port Authority, and the Gambia Revenue Authority.
Me and people like me are also enjoying certain facilities that we've never enjoyed before. Our 3 buildings, it's like container type. Those are the transformers for the electricity that is generated in Senegal and sold to the Gambia. that allowed us to have electricity in this part of the country 24 hours.
Fi amutoon courant.
Ngana murun courant ko to jangman courant sotono.
Waaye His Excellency bi mu taxawee nekk président.
Bari président Barrow kabring ak kañeta kake président.
Farafenni mooy dëkk boo xam ne wala North Bank mooy dëkk boo xam ne si biir Gambia moom moo njëkk a taal courant 24 hours ñu ngi koy ooyee.
Ako Farafenni wala North Bank tundo wala keta tunduti wala saate mi yalo ko. Montaro sudani tili courant mala amon fa. A folota jall.
Te gannaaw noonu ñu ngi gis biir LRR.
Adu wokono fanan be LRR man sa koko banko fanan jekan.
Ñun duñ waxati His Excellency mel ñu courant.
Dolta for president wa kon so courant la.
But there are projects that are conceived that are off the ground now, and that is all done by President Adama Barrow. Soon, those villages will also enjoy clean running water. Electricity, we know the OMVG is coming up. Probably in 19 months' time, electricity will be everywhere around here. All the villages that don't have electricity. Already we have the consultants from NAWEC around here measuring areas, looking at where the poles can run through to the big villages that don't have electricity in my area. There's electricity in Ilyasa, but there is one going to Kachang, and Jumansara and Alkalikunda are going to benefit from that. So gradually, we've seen light at the end of the tunnel. We've seen things coming up that we are yearning for. So that's what we want for this country. National Development Plan to Letam. Kujama lebakon. Security JBJ membe falinka. TRRC be on. Afelenga constitutional deda womanta. Anundo kujama lebeje menu nyanda falinna. Pour que aje ko Gambia botano to la tata dula dol. Memba ko kunna biti lo to wala president Adama Barrow. Anunda da madama nga bulay continue ala do ko wala do ko bu ka ballum kilim woto nim plano be laring me yalon ko president Adama Barrow e wala la pour ka nyim banko doku dal nga son do ko nyim momo ya dati al nga chance dial kadu falindiro do be je ni yake ikam murun ko mo le sabu ni commissionol janjambi iko ya dati kuke asike problem wote na kodo si fo na kodo la kunna ku jama ba si mur ko ma si tarde baral nga chance di nyola ngawul bang mbe so nyin na ko president be do ko men kela president abe do ko men kela hanna bo je wo do ko katu nyim bang ko la o dal nga de nga do ko ke president Adama Barrow be men nabi wala pour ka Gambia do ko nyaaye menje berol be lala dulal be yelela wala National Development Plan o nyindi dal nga chance di nyola ngaw do ko ke ngaba kayra ko a president Barrow fani mu nge ubi mu nge tek ay her yep ci National Development Plan bi la so nañ nangu ne National Development Plan bi lu am la te lu ñoo njëriñ la xamna ne man changes am na ci réew mi changes bi am réew mi taxna ñu bari ñu ngi comfortable ci seen liggéey di liggéey ni mu waré kon nañ nangu ne National Development Plan bi pour ñun la te ñun ñëpp a war a bokk pour liggéey ko mu dem kanam.
nguur yàlla moo koy joxe kim ko jox kenn rek la ko mën a jox toogu bi kenn see toog su fekkoon na ku bëgg nguur mbaa nga sonn si yëfi nguur la nga bëgg si nguur da nga ko xam di kon Adama Barrow balaa ñëw dana fekk ñeneen toog si waaye place buur yàlla moo koy joxe yàlla moo ko jox comme yàlla moo ko jox nag li ma koy digal mooy na góorgóorlu bañ a déglu waxi gannaaw na góorgóorlu damm bant si noppam buñ ko saaga ndey ak bàyyi na seet li nga xam ne mooy intérêt réew mi ndaw yi kilifa yi jigéen ñi li da seen yokkute si réew mi mu def ko lum si man na ko si def lum si mënul na ko jéem su ko manee rek su ko defee rek coow li jeex waxi bañ bum ko faale koo xam ne kii nekk nga doom ju neex sa ndey kenn du la bëgg waaye cër bi la yàlla jox nag na ko nangul boppam xam ne yàlla moo ko jox nguur gi kon lépp lu si nekk na ko yenu te bum si jéem a mer bum si jéem a xuloo lu mu doon doxee benn tànk na ko doxee fukki tànk